Hello and welcome on this new session on Power Platform licenses demystified. This is part of a series of presentations that are based on my presentation that I've done at Scottish Summit 2022 in Glasgow back in June. We've covered the basic concepts and now we will move on to Power Apps plans. Just like with travel options, with Power Apps plans you have different options that fit different scenarios. So we'll look at the different types of options that we have, such as riding along a free ride, that is like the Microsoft seated licenses, or jumping into a bus on a single bus line that we're using, which is similar to the per app license, or a bit like a parking meter, using a pay-as-you-go option that is based on the consumption. Or if we travel a lot, and we go from subway to train to bus, different types, different lines, different areas. Maybe a per user license, such as a monthly pass, is a good option to take. So maybe you want to ride along, take what seems to be a free ride. Okay, with the seated license, you can create, run, share apps. And here we're talking about canvas type of apps. But as with the Manchester free ride system, which is limited to city center, you'll be restricted to use standard connectors for Power Apps. An example of that is a leave request app. That is a canvas app. It's for all the Office 365 users, and maybe the only option that it uses is Office 365 Outlook. It's sending out emails, for example. That can be a good use case for a seated license for Power Apps. Maybe just like a school bus, you're hopping on a single bus line every day. Maybe you're running a single app day in and day out. Then in such a case, maybe the per app subscription makes sense. But don't forget, just like line 106 in Manchester is not the line 106 in Glasgow, the same app in different environments is not the same app in terms of the per app subscription. The good thing though is you can stack more than one per app subscription. The connectors you'll be able to use are all in context of the app, but all connectors are accessible. In terms of capacity, you'll get 50 megabyte of database space allocated and 400 megabyte of file space. As for the requests, keep in mind in the concepts we cover the request limits, what they are about. Here you would get 6,000 requests per day. Good example of a per app subscription where it may fit. We have a time and expense application at XRM Vision. It's a canvas app. It's based on Dataverse, so we need a premium license. It's used frequently on a daily basis, hopefully, sometimes on a weekly basis. But for many employees, that's their main app that they use or a single app that they use. So for them, a per app subscription for this app makes sense. In some occasions, you don't know ahead of time what will be your travel requirements. Maybe you have to go in town sporadically. In such cases, you might have to park in a location where you need to feed in those quarters or a credit card in those parking meters. The pay-as-you-go for Power Apps uses the same basis where it's consumption-based. You don't need to pay in advance. It's going to be based on how many people will use the app. In environments where you enable pay-as-you-go feature, the per apps passes are ignored. Maybe you're launching a new app organization-wide, you're not sure what will be the adoption of it, or you may not know how often users will run the app. Thinking of dedicating an environment for it with a pay-as-you-go feature may make sense. Invoicing will be processed via the Azure subscription. In this case, per enabled environment, you'll get 1 gigabyte of database and 1 gigabyte of file allocated, and 6,000 requests per day per number of users that will connect. An example of a pay-as-you-go app is the annual review for employees. It may be used only once or twice a year at different times of the years, so it's hard to predict, and you don't want to allocate full licenses for the full year for it. Pay-as-you-go may fit the bill. So maybe you're a real city hopper, you travel all around the place, you visit customers, different offices all year long. Using the free ride system is too restrictive in terms of locations you'd visit, so it's not efficient. Restricting you to a single bus line doesn't allow you to get to all locations. You need many of those, and it's not efficient either. Providing you tickets for multiple lines is surely not efficient cost-wise. We know you'll be using transit system often, so having a consumption-based system is not efficient either. For unlimited number of apps, opt for a per-user subscription. In this case, unlimited apps, all connectors. In terms of capacity, you'll get 250 megabytes of database space, 2 gigabytes of file, and a good load of requests at the level of 40,000 requests per day. So you have users that create or run a high number of apps. Those apps use premium connectors. For those cases, the per user license makes sense. In summary, for recap, we have the Microsoft 365 seated license with standard connectors. You can use Dataverse for Team. You get 6,000 requests. It is included in most Microsoft 365 plans, but you'll only be able to run Canvas apps. The per app and all the others, you'll be able to use all the connectors, standard and premium ones. In terms of space, it varies depending on the type of license that you have. Keep in mind that pay-as-you-go, it's the environment level. So it's 1 gigabyte if the pay-as-you-go feature is enabled. And for per app, you can stack them. For pay-as-you-go, if it's enabled, single app per app license are ignored, and per user is unlimited. Back to our example here, Microsoft 365, leave request, sending out the request by email. Canvas, good example for that. Per app, time and expense. It's a Canvas app. It's using premium connector because it's connected to Dataverse. And for many users, it's the only app that they will use. So no need to go for a per user license. Pay as you go, something that is used maybe once or twice a year. You don't necessarily know when. Annual review fits well. And for those users who create like many apps and they access multiple apps per user, you get the unlimited mileage. I hope this helps you better understand the different types of Power Apps licenses. In our next session, we will cover Power Automate plans. Thank you.